Hi, I'm Diana and I'm here to give you a recap of The Amazing Race, Episode 11, Season 19. This was not the night for football to be taking over the CBS channels, so live streaming video was my godsend tonight. Thank goodness, because it was a great show, and if you missed it, well, you got me. So the show opens up with Tommy and Andy getting their clue. First, they have to dress up like cartoon characters. They're wearing black suits, white shirts, top hats, and fake mustaches, and they mistake themselves for Charlie Chaplin. Part of the deal was that they had to find who they were and what their jobs were. The other team, Cindy and Ernie, Marcus and Monty, Jeremy and Sandy, found out who they were fairly quickly. Cindy and Ernie get to the clue guy, tell him who they are, get their clue. Tommy and Andy show up right as they're getting their clue and give the wrong name. Now, Cindy and Ernie are not about to help Tommy and Andy because they are the biggest competition in this entire race. And you know what? Tommy and Andy didn't help Cindy and Ernie when they were running to that pit stop that one time. So, karma. Anyhow, Andy and Tommy have to go back to an internet cafe, try to figure out who they are, while the other teams move on to the train, which Andy and Tommy catch up to, and they all ride together to Panama. When they get there, they have to ride these fast boats. They're canoes, and they are out in the dark of night, not a light anywhere, speeding on the water. Now, I wouldn't mind a nighttime trip where the driver is actually steering by the stars if he was like paddling nice and slow, but speeding in the dark, no thank you. Anyhow, Jeremy and Sandy are first, and then of course they run into a sandbar and have to dig themselves up and get passed by everybody. And Jeremy and Sandy says Tommy and Andy never have bad luck. They all sleep in hammocks for the night, and the next day have to go do the roadblock. And now the roadblock is walking a tightrope at the very top of these extremely high skyscrapers in the downtown area. Sandy's scared to death of heights, but she does it anyhow. But Andy and Tommy, give her a few jabs and try to make it fun, and then they move on their merry way. But I was proud of Sandy. Good job, Sandy. She crossed that thing and got back. The other teams were right on their tail. Marcus and Amani were running last, and none of them were very far apart. Now, the way this entire race went was like this. Tommy and Andy spurted ahead, fell back, caught up, spurted ahead, fell back, caught up, spurted ahead. That kind of thing. So they are ahead, and they're on their way to the detour first. And the detour is filet or sole. And Tommy and Andy choose sole, which is making sandals. Cindy and Ernie and Jeremy and Sandy also choose making sandals. But Marcus and Imani, who are running last, decide they want to do filet. And it was a good choice for them because there was nobody else in the market who had to do the competition. So what they had to do was take several varieties of fish in several different pounds and deliver them to stalls within the fish market. Well, since there were no other teams, they had the entire fish market to take to their fish to, and they didn't have to spend time running around and hunting for a stall that needed that particular amount of fish. They must have stunk so bad because they had fish guts all over the front of them. Yuck! And then they jumped in that cab. That must have been a ride. Whew. So, after they finished the detour, they go from 4th place to 2nd place. Andy and Tommy finished the shoes, and the shoes were much more difficult than the fish. Andy and Tommy finish first, and they go to the clue where they're supposed to figure out how to get to the pit stop. Well, who would have figured that this part would be the part that screwed everybody up? Because it did. Andy and Tommy get there, and they think there are these women, and they're dancing in a circle, and they're dressed in traditional garb, and they've got headdresses on, and these green pom-poms, and little what are the brocades that have things written on them? But the clue was written in the design of the dress. When the girls unveiled their dress and spread it all the way out, there was a design that you could read going across. nobody read the design going across, and they all got confused and didn't know where they were going. So Andy and Tommy end up going to Panama, the Panama Canal. Ooh, not the right way to go. And Marcus and Imani get there second, and they're looking at these girls. Marcus is talking to him. Yeah, I know you speak English. Just tell me what the clue is. And they can't figure it out. Jeremy and Sandy show up, Cindy and Ernie, and all three teams are sitting there trying to figure it out. But what they don't know and what they think that Andy and Tommy have gone to the pit stop already. They think that it's a fight between the three of them as to who's going to get into the finals. So they're trying to figure it out, and they're not really sharing information with each other because, you know, it's a race to the end. Jeremy and Sandy figure out it's the old city, and they head into a taxi. Cindy and Ernie jump into one. Marcus and Imani jump into one. Cindy and Ernie's taxi driver says he knows where he's going, but he doesn't really. But at some point, Jeremy and Sandy's taxi driver calls back to him on the phone and says, "This is where we're going." Marcus and Imani are in the back, and she says, "Follow them." They don't even know where they're going, just follow them. So they all head off to the pit stop. Now, we don't know at this point where Tommy and Andy are actually in the race of things. They're driving around looking for the statue that they're supposed to show up to. And, you know, with the Amazing Race editing, any second now they could magically appear at the right statue in the right place and, of course, be team number one again. But when they show Tommy and Andy going back to where the dancers were, that was the moment that you knew, wow, Andy and Tommy are in trouble for the very first time in this race. So, Jeremy and Sandy show up to the pit stop, team number one, absolutely shocked and elated that they made it and that they're team number one. And when Cindy and Ernie and Marcus and Imani come, they're shouting, "Come on, come on, the boys didn't make it." I think all three teams were elated because they didn't have Tommy and Andy as competition in the final leg. Tommy and Andy finally make it, and they are eliminated, and they're just as shocked that they were eliminated from the competition. I personally think that the other three teams were so relieved because they knew they didn't have a snowballs or a snowboarders chance against Tommy and Andy because those guys won so much. And they also seemed to have more camaraderie than Tommy and Andy with. Tommy and Andy kind of just were separate and apart from people in my personal opinion. My favorite team is Marcus and Imani, even though they make so many mistakes, and Jeremy and Sandy are growing in on me. So this finale is going to be a tight one. I really believe, you know, there have been finales where one team checks in 20 hours before the other one, those early years. Remember the one where they were coming back from Alaska? Good grief. So this is going to be a great Amazing Race finale, very tight, I think, and I can't wait to watch it. One thing I do want to say is, had I been a smart person, I would have picked up what the Amazing Race producers were laying down all the way through the show. Because all those little comments from Tommy and Andy about, yeah, we're 20 minutes ahead, we're doing pretty good. Yeah, we're 20 minutes ahead. Yeah, we got a pretty good lead on everybody else. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Those were little clues that the Amazing Race guys were dropping down for us, and I just wasn't smart enough to pick up on them. And then when Sandy said, Tommy and Andy never have bad luck, I should have known. But, you know, I'm kind of not that quick. So hindsight's 20/20. Now I get what they were doing. Andy and Tommy eliminated. Jeremy, Sandy, Cindy, Ernie, Marcus, and Imani, your final three for the Amazing Race. Bye.